Hi everybody, Jeff here from Puppets by Jeff. I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to my newest character. This is Javelin. As you can see, Javelin is quite a bit different than the other puppets that I've offered, but also similar. Javelin is Dart's older cousin, hence the name Javelin. It's kind of like a dart, but what is a javelin? It's a lot bigger. Javelin is a lot bigger than Dart. He's probably about 60 to 70% larger than Dart overall. With the larger size came some added things that needed to be done. Basically, I'll go through those features really quickly with you. First of all, I found that there was too much red in Javelin's mouth when he was done with just the red mouth. So I've added a black piece in here that basically looks like a throat. Kind of gives him a little bit more realistic looking mouth, I think, when it's moving. Some of the other things that needed to be done, there is now a foam strap on the bottom of his jaw on the inside that you can't see, which what that allows you to do is have better control over his mouth while it's opening and closing. I think that it controls just as well as a Dart, despite the fact that it's actually quite a bit larger. As you can see, it's still easy to move around. A couple of the other features that I added, instead of sewing the arms on, these arms are attached with joints. What that allows them to do is they can be turned all around in circles just like that. You still have all the control that you would, just like with a normal puppet that I make, but they're in there a little bit better, and it gives you that added option of control. Now, one thing you'll notice about Javelin right off the bat that you probably were wondering if you've seen my other puppets, Javelin's sitting on my lap right now, and I'm still controlling his head, much like a ventriloquist puppet. Well, I figured that I didn't really have any ventriloquist puppets in my lineup. Most of the puppets that I have are designed to be used more with a stage or, you know, in an informal setting. Whereas Javelin, he can sit on your lap, you can control him, he can sit in a chair. The reason for that is, and I'm going to apologize for the distance that the camera is from the video, or that the camera is right now. At one point in time in this demonstration, I had done this video a couple of times, and I found I kept getting Javelin up out of the screen. So I had to move the camera a little bit further away. But what I would like to do is right now just kind of turn him around and show you. On Javelin's back right now, my hand is actually going into the back of his head. That's what's allowing me to control him like a ventriloquist puppet more than my other puppets that I have. You can see that his head moves all around, and my hand is controlling him directly from the back. He still has the foam body, his legs are still stuffed, his arms are still stuffed, excuse me. He still has the foam inside his head. He's still made out of the same high quality fleece. The only difference is he has a hole in his back that allows him to move his head around while you're controlling him from here. You know, it gives him quite a bit of range of motion. Now the other thing that you might notice, Javelin's neck is not directly attached to his body. Basically, he has what appears to be a sleeve that goes down inside him almost. What that allows you to do is you can move his head very freely in every direction without his body moving around. Now, I don't know if you'll notice, but on Darts and all the other puppets that I make, since their neck is attached directly to their head and their body is basically hooked right to their head, if you turn their head to the right, their body kind of turned to the right, and vice versa with their left. You didn't have that free range of motion. But see, Javelin here, Javelin has rectified that kind of issue for a ventriloquist puppet by basically having that sleeve go inside him, which allows his head to be turned independently of his body. He can move his head all around. Basically, you can turn it almost all the way around and have it looking backwards, and his body will still just be facing the same direction that it was when you sat down with him. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that aren't really interested in using my puppets as ventriloquist puppets, but maybe they would like the larger one. Now see, this is where Javelin also has some added features. The hole in the back of his neck there can actually be snapped shut, and then, just like my other puppets, you can put your hand in Javelin right through the bottom of him and use him like a standard puppet. You don't have to use him as a ventriloquist puppet if you don't want to. He still has that free range of motion of his head. Now see, here you can see probably even better what I was talking about. See, his head is basically facing behind him now. Yeah, his body is still pointing perfectly forward. You don't have to worry at all about his body moving. Now, another feature that I've added is because when he's like this, he's actually pretty large. And a lot of times, you know, people at their puppet stage may come only up to about here, so they might not have any use for the legs. See, this is another added feature to Javelin. His legs are removable. They're clipped in to the inside of his body. You can take them out if you would like at your leisure. I'm just going to take these and set them on the floor for now. and just once again demonstrate that he works just fine without his legs. His arms still function. There are arm rods available for him. I do not have one on him right now, but I do have them available for him. And his head still moves. Now, the other big feature that Javelin has that the other puppets don't, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see this very well or not, but on the inside of Javelin, instead of being the foam, he does have a foam body, but what he has now is fleece on the outside and fleece on the inside. What that allows you to do is put your hand in, and you don't have to worry about the foam rubbing on your arm. I know that I don't really have any issues with the foam rubbing my arm, but I know that some people can get kind of irritated by it. So the fleece being on the inside there does a couple of things, especially for extended performances. You don't have to worry so much about the foam rubbing against your arm. Also, because he's larger, there is different spots that the foam was touching on your body. So the fleece basically covers that up. Now see, you'll also see, if you look at him from the back here, while your arm is in him, you can't even see that hole that's in the back of his neck. That's because it's actually closed up and it fits down below his neckline there. So you don't have to worry in performance about anybody seeing that hole if you're not using him as a ventriloquist style puppet. I actually really liked Javelin here. He was a lot of fun to make. He presented some new challenges that I hadn't had to deal with yet. Basically, challenges involved with him being bigger. Things like the arms not really going on very well if they were sewn on, so replacing those with the joints. The dual hand entry, for the ability to use him as a ventriloquist puppet if you would like, or as a standard puppet. That was something that I really had to look into, and I had some issues with that at first that were rectified. Basically, that hole in the back when you were using him as a standard puppet was still visible. I fixed that by adding the snaps to him, and it fixed it perfectly. It also makes it a little bit nicer because you can close that right up and not even ever open it if you don't want to use him as a ventriloquist puppet, or you can unsnap it and you could never use him as a ventriloquist puppet, or you could never use him as a standard puppet if you wanted to. Now see the legs? They're very easy to just attach. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this on the video. I'm not sure if the camera's pointing down low enough, but basically the leg pieces, they just slide in, clip shut. Get some dust on them. And you slide in on the other side, and then clip shut. Just like that. When you get your puppet, there will be holes that you'll notice on the inside where they are supposed to be attached to. And then, just like that, they're attached again. They bend at the knee so that if you want to, you can go ahead, unsnap the back of his neck again. Into the back of his neck goes your hand. And you are once again ready to use him as a ventriloquist style puppet. Like I said, I really enjoyed making Javelin. He is larger. He uses a lot more material and a lot more parts than any of the other puppets that I made. And like I said, he presented some new challenges that were fun to work with and fun to figure out. Javelin is going to be the first of my ultimate line of puppets. Basically, most of the puppets that I make can probably be turned into ultimate puppets if somebody were interested. You could basically take Javelin, or you could basically take Dart. You could probably take Patty. You could take Blip. I wouldn't be surprised, even a Yeti Jr. would probably be able to be easily turned into one of these puppets here with just some modifications. So if you're interested in one of the other styles of puppets, but larger, go ahead and send me an email at puppetsbyjeff@gmail.com. You can view that by, or you can find that by going to the website, puppetsbyjeff.com. For now, Javelin is the first of that ultimate line of puppets, and I hope you've enjoyed learning about him. I thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I thank you for your interest in Puppets by Jeff. All right? Have a good evening.